Hello, Rama Rama Pupudu. Hope all are in good health, feeling great, wonderful, having a happy and peaceful life. Now let's start with chapter 1, A Search in Secret India, wherein I bow to the reader. There is an obscure passage in the yellowed book of Indian life which I have endeavored to elucidate for the benefit of Western readers. Early travelers returned home to Europe with weird tales of the Indian fakirs, and even modern travelers occasionally bring similar stories. What is the truth behind those legends which come ever and anon to our ears concerning a mysterious class of men called yogis by some and fakirs by others? What is the truth behind the fitful hints which reach us, intimating that there exists in India an old wisdom that promises the most extraordinary development of mental powers to those who practice it? I set out on a long journey to find it, and the following pages summarize my report. Summarize, I say, because the inexorable exigencies of space and time required me to write one yogi where I had met more. Therefore, I have selected a few who interested me most and who seemed likely to interest the Western world. One heard much of certain so-called holy men who possessed repute of having acquired deep wisdom and strange powers. So one traveled through scorching days and sleepless nights to find them, only to find spiritual slaves, venerable know-nothings, money-seeking conjurers, jugglers, with a few tricks, and to fill my pages with the records of such people would be worthless to the reader and is a distasteful task to me. Therefore, I omit the tale of time wasted upon them. I feel quite humbly that I have been privileged to see a remote aspect of India seldom seen and less understood by ordinary travelers. Among the English residents in the vast land, only on an infinitesimal fraction has cared to study this aspect, and of this fraction, very few were free enough to examine it more deeply and give their report, for official dignity must needs be respected. Therefore, English writers who have touched on this subject swing over to a hearty skepticism which, by its very nature, renders many sources of native knowledge not readily available to them, and which causes the Indian who really knows something about the less superficial side of the matter to shrink from discussing it with them. The white man will, in most cases, possess but an imperfect acquaintance with the yogis, if he knows them at all, and certainly not with the best of them. The latter are now but a mere handful in the very country of their origin. They are exceedingly rare, are fond of hiding their true attainment from the public, and prefer to pose as ignoramuses. In India, in Tibet, and in China, they get rid of the Western traveler who may happen to blunder in upon the privacy by maintaining a studied appearance of insignificance and ignorance. Perhaps they would see some sense in Emerson's abrupt phrase, "To be great is to be misunderstood," pronounced yogis. I do not know. Anyway, they are mostly recluses who do not care to mingle with mankind. Even when met with, they are unlikely to break their reserve except after some period of acquaintance. Hence, little has been written in Western continents about the strange life of these yogis, and even that little remains vague. The reports of Indian writers are indeed available, but they must be read with care. It is an unfortunate fact that the Orientals often mix hearsay with fact quite indiscriminately. Therefore, such reports diminish in value as documentary records. When I verified this through chastening experience, I thanked heaven for such scientific training as the West has given me and for the common sense attitude which journalist experience has had instilled in me. There is a basis of genuine fact underlying much Oriental superstition, but profound vigilance is needed to discover it. I was compelled to keep a critical but not hostile eye widely open wherever I went. Not a few of those who learned that I was interested in the mystical and miraculous, apart from my philosophical concerns, applied liberal paint and plentiful varnish to their few facts. I might have spent my time trying to teach them that truth is so strong she can stand upon her own legs without falling to the ground, but I had other things to do. I felt glad, however, that I had preferred to gain my knowledge of Oriental wonders at first hand, just as I prefer Christ's wisdom to his commentators' ignorance. I searched through a welter of crass superstitions and ancient pretensions for those things which are true, which will stand the acid test of true investigation. I flatter myself that I could never have done this did I not contain within my complex nature the two elements of scientific skepticism and spiritual sensitivity, elements which usually range themselves in sharp conflict and flagrant opposition? I have titled this book Secret India because it tells of an India which has been hidden from prying eyes for thousands of years, which has kept itself so exclusive that today only its rapidly disappearing remains are left. The manner in which the yogis kept their knowledge so esoteric may appear selfish to us in these democratic days, but it helps to account for the gradual disappearance from visible history. Thousands of Englishmen live in India and hundreds visit it each year, yet few know anything of what may one day prove more worthy to the world than even the prized pearls and valuable stones which ships bring us from India. Fewer still have taken the trouble to go out of their way to find the adepts in yoga, while not one Englishman in a thousand is prepared to prostrate himself before a brown, half naked figure in some lonely cave or in a disciple filled room. Such is the inevitable barrier imposed by this form of caste that even men of generous character and developed intellect, if suddenly taken from their habitations in British quarters and set down in such a cave, would find a yogi's company uncongenial and his ideas unintelligible. Yet the Englishman in India, whether soldier, civil servant, businessman, or traveler, is not to be blamed because he is too proud to squat on the mat of the yogi. Quite apart from the business of upholding British prestige, doubtless an important and necessary procedure, the kind of holy man he usually encounters is more likely to repel than attract. It is certainly no loss to avoid such a man. Nevertheless, it is a pity that after a sojourn of many years of the English resident will often leave the country in blameless ignorance of what lies behind the frontal brain of an Indian sage. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Pupudu.